Welcome to the 6th program in the Mayhair Archive Collective's series of Baba Zoom programs. I'm Ann Barker and a MAC board member. This is my husband, Chris Barker, who has worked diligently to bring this program to you. The wonderful Diana Goodhart is kindly hosting for us today. First, we have the amazing Jeanne Felknor, who has been working so hard at the Red Oak School, preparing the first phase for the archives to move in. She will give us an update on progress of the building. And after we speak with Jeanne, we have the pleasure of having Cathy Riley join us to tell us about Tom Riley's book, More Light, An Artist's Life with Mayor Baba.
And I'm going to share the screen right now, and we'll look at this presentation about the MAC building from Jeanne. So, Jeanne, if you'd like to start talking about it.
Sure. Yes, I will. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on. But oops, sorry. Anyway, sorry, dang it. But anyway, hi. So I only have a few minutes and I can't see any pictures. Oh,
What?
I can see a tiny picture now. It's really tiny. And Bruce went upstairs. Buddy. Anyway, the thing is, I can't see any pictures. Am I supposed to just be looking at the Red Oak School right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, is it small for everybody, or is it large?
Tiny. I can't
It may be that you need to change to speaker view.
Okay. I'm really irritated right now at Bruce for leaving me, but
Mine is large.
Mine is
Yeah.
large too.
Bruce!
Jeanne, guys are just like that.
Gee, mine is large. Chill out. It's working.
If you look in the upper right corner, you got the choice between gallery view and speaker view.
Now I can, anyway. So here's the deal. I feel like I should, I couldn't see the thing, but now I can see it. Okay. And I only have like 3 minutes of time because we have to have enough time for Cathy's thing. But I just wanted to say the reason I'm telling you about the MAC building is because, and Peter should, because he's really the one who knows everything. And I just show up and do what I'm told. But it's because he's a builder's builder and I speak knucklehead. So I'll just give you a quick overall view of where we're at, which is really exciting. So one of the most exciting parts is, well, the elevator doors finally came in and that was holding us up. That's this right here. Those doors were holding us up a little because we cannot do anything until we are able to get a perfect fit for those elevator doors, which meant we needed to do some grinding and hacking into some concrete door sides. The beautiful doorway here is, this is the north doorway. So we're working on that, just getting it ready. So all the paint taken off, Peter filled it with wood putty, and now I'm sanding. And that's just hours and hours of time. Sanding, and it's going to be beautiful. We're at a really fun point in the building now where we can do some of this really pretty finished stuff. This is door work, just getting the hinges put on doors. All the doors are ready, but we don't want to put any of those on until after we paint. And this is a beautiful view of one of the rooms, which is just sitting there waiting for us to paint it. It's all drywall sanded, all mudded, sanded and ready, but we have to clean everything first before we can paint. And we didn't want to do the big final clean knowing that we had to make really a lot of dust this week with the elevator doors. So that was that. I mean, things are going to happen in Baba's timing.
And that's a special room there. That's Baba's room.
Is it? Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it is a nice room, and it's a beautiful view of the blue sky outside. So we show up every day and look at these beautiful handrails. No one really know what went into that, but the guys had to actually cut those and make a sleeve and raise them up 6 or 7 inches. I don't even know how much, and then weld them, grind them. And now they're at a really nice, comfortable height for as per code for the year 2023. We have our stalwart volunteers. This is Barb Rickstad. If she's on here, she'll wring my neck calling her out. And then sanding, scraping and sanding, because that's what we do. We sand, we scrape, we clean, we load dirt, we grind, we pound and sand, scrape and clean and pound and when Baba says it's time to be done and move in, Mac, that's when we're going to be done and move in. We show up every day and do what we have to do. Boom, 4 o'clock, the day's over, we got to go home. So this is a wall that I'm holding up because yeah, so I mean, let's see, Mara Kleiner admiring. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's come and see the building if you haven't seen it. It's pretty dang amazing, and it's so much fun. This is the guys. The guys are now doing a lot. We're doing a lot of work on phase 2. Well, now we're back on phase 1. While we were waiting for the elevator doors to come in, and so we are way ahead of schedule for phase 2. And these are the guys. This is our tool room, trying to keep it clean and organized. And yeah, so that's anything else I'm missing. I know I'm missing a million things, but I don't know a whole bunch of technical stuff. If you're a builder, you can call Peter and talk to him about that. I'm, like I said, listen, Roger and Scott discussing the placement of the murals around the MAC building. Yeah. We sure have a lot of wall space. And notice the gallery. There's a piece of wood up on the upper hallway wall. That is our gallery. It's called something. But anyway, where you hang your paintings so that we never have to put screws and nails into our beautiful plaster walls, which have all been repaired. So I catch anyone putting a screw in those walls. Okay.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. Appreciate you coming in this morning. I know you got to run.
It's my pleasure. And like I said, someday we'll give you a real, everyone, a nice real view of the school, and we'll have Peter describe everything in builder's terms. But in the meantime, I'm having a ton of fun working on the building. It's an incredible creative process. The guys are working and we are doing the best we can with what we have.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Jay Bob.
Good. Now, let's see. What are we going to do now? Yeah.
Okay, and now we're going to be talking with Cathy Riley. And Chris, didn't you have a little little film segment you wanted to show?
Yes. So we will do that. Do this. Okay. Can everybody see Tom? And
Yes.
okay. So we got Tom here, Tom Riley, and I'm going to see if I can just make this a little. I don't think that's going to work. No. We'll have to. They won't be able. There we go. All right. Can everybody see that now? Mhm. So
Yes,
Tom
yes.
and Tom and Cathy. And so these are the early years with Mayor Baba. And Tom always was close to Baba. Can you find Tom in the picture there? He is, oops. There he is right there with the arrow. And there's a beautiful picture from 1958. Cathy said this is at the Wilmington Airport. Just spectacular photograph of Baba and Elizabeth and Tom right there. So this one was not in the book, but wonderful to see everybody like this. 1962, the East-West Gathering, and Baba's in the center. Erich is with his back to us, and where's Tom? Right over there, just a few feet away from Baba.
Yes, that's him.
That's right. So 46 years later, 2008 Southeast Gathering, there he is sharing stories. He was always his own best audience. He loved his stories. And then a very special picture. This is the first picture that he saw of Mayor Baba on the cover of a pamphlet. And this is what, when he saw that picture, he had to know more about that person. And that started his journey. If I remember the story right, Cathy can correct me if I'm wrong on that. 2021, 63 years after meeting Baba in 1958. And there they are. Those Irish eyes look like gems. And then Cathy, looking distinguished on her book tour. I think her eyes are starting to look more and more like Kitty Davy every year. Jay Baba. And also we got a Christmas card that year from Tom. And this is some of his distinctive art. And I don't know if that's supposed to be me and Ann over there on the other side, but we like the strange little dogs down there at the bottom. Cathy calls those the rat dogs. Okay, so that's that. And now we have the real person, Cathy. Cathy Riley has been happily ensnared in Baba's love nest since 1972. She has loved singing for Baba and gathering others to sing his praises together over these years. Meeting Mara and the women Mandalay have been treasured high points of her life with the Avatar, as well as serving Kitty Davy and Elizabeth Patterson in Myrtle Beach. Her book Dilruba Days chronicles those lucky years. Now her husband's autobiography, More Light, has brought his amazing Baba stories and art to many appreciative Baba followers the world over. So we thank you, Cathy. Sign in, please, with your mute button off.
Jay Baba,
Jai Baba. All right.
thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share. And it's very inspiring to see the progress that Jeannie was showing us through the photos. I haven't been there. We haven't been there in a while. So it's wonderful how much has moved forward. That's very inspiring. Going into my section of this gathering. So as I have been saying, it takes not just a village, but a huge village to create something like this wonderful autobiography of Tom's. And it feels like I would like to thank Lois Brager, Dana Ferry, Lynn Berry, who have been some of the main editors, John Oates for years of graphic help, Ed Legum for the beautiful book design, Greg Butler and Jim Roble for extra photo work. Of course, you saw there was photo help actually from Chris, whose photo from that gathering is in the book, Chris Barker, and Leon Kestenbaum was a big help when we stayed in Asheville working on the book about 4 years ago. And lots of amazing I don't know, it goes on and on. The archives have been so important, and MAC Archives really has been one of the big contributors, because I got an excited call from Elaine Cox, Tom and I did, saying that they had recently been brought into the archives. Letters had been brought in from Fred Ella Winterfeld's collection. And these letters came to light during the process of MAC archiving of the Fred Ella Winterfeld collection. And she noticed right away there were letters to Fred and Ella and from Fred and Ella to Tom. So those became a very important part of Tom's early connection with Baba. So thank you to the MAC archives for that. Of course, the archives in India were so important. And different collections, the New School collection, the different collections in the Vivekananda Society communities. And it really, working on these, on the Woodstock Historical Art Society, so many collections, archives, made it, oh yes, the center, Mayor Center ECP collection, gave us a photo. It really is, and Sufism Reoriented gave us beautiful photos. So I'm really becoming, oh yes, these are some of the, thank you, Chris and Ann. Yeah, these are some of the original letters that came in to the, to the MAC archives from the Fred Ella Winterfeld collection. So in Tom's beautiful handwriting, introducing himself, talking to the Winterfelds, and it was incredible to see these for the first time. Tom was just amazed to see them. And as I just said, we included some of these in Tom's book. I also feel like it has become clear to me as I am speaking with all of you in this archival, this through the archives, that it's so important to get the stories down. And thank goodness we twisted Tom's arm and got him to write, and all the help from all the wonderful community, Baba and the extended world community has brought this wonderful book to us all. But I just feel like it's important to say right now, please write your stories down. We are legacy keepers too, and we have so much to share, all of us here who met the Mandali and had special connections with them. After I wrote Dilruba Days, I heard so many stories about Kitty and Elizabeth and Margaret, and I kept saying to those people, please write them down. I have no idea how many of those people did, but anyway, there are so many more things to be said, but that's my story at the moment, and thank you.
Cathy, how did Tom originally write these down? Did he type them out, or did he have them on did he handwrite them?
Everything was handwritten in pencil, and different versions which had to be edited and tapestried together. So I did take a picture this morning of one of the thousands and thousands of handwritten manuscript. I mean, Tom didn't use the computer, so I'm realizing this morning my next task is to try to organize these papers a little bit more so that they will go into an archive someday. But that's the way the book got started.
That's great. And one of the amazing things is when you read the book, it's almost like you can hear Tom's voice. How did that happen? How is that possible?
I think it's because he's Irish. There's something magical. Everybody's been saying that's the biggest comment is I can hear Tom speaking when I read. So his written voice is so similar and makes me happy to hear that.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
so grateful for that. I gotta add.
Oh, yes, that's right.
The only thing that's slightly missing is you can't hear the accents popping out of the book.
That's right.
Maybe you can hear them, I think, in your mind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Are there some favorite sections that you'd like to talk about in the book?
I think I'd say my favorite sections would be, I love the early childhood gathering the stones and the feathers, placing them around the picture of Jesus when he was able to feign illness and not go to mass on Sunday. I just love that description. It just is so Tom. And of course, the lagoon cabin filled with light. Of course, the incredible moment when Baba, after talking of self-effacement, said to Tom, you know, you have to love so much that all this world you see around you becomes completely unreal. And Tom sharing the losing consciousness at Baba's feet, that's a high point of the book. I also, I love the early adult story that he was home from college and his mother shared, to his surprise, the story of her experience at his birth. That I love that particular story very much. And
Yeah.
I'm sure all of you have your favorite parts too.
Do you have a part that you would like to read from the book? Maybe the lagoon cabin story, or the one that you were talking about, the self-effacement, or anything else?
Well, since we're talking about more light, I'll read a section from that.
Okay, great.
On the afternoon of May 21st, the day following our private interview to Baba, introduction to Baba, I received Baba's note from Adi about not worrying at all. I contemplated his comment seriously and wished so fervently to be in Baba's presence once again. Most of us were standing, including myself, as we faced the cabin. I was talking to Leatrice Shaw, who sat upon one of the large horizontal logs, her back to the cabin. Amongst us all, the psychic preoccupation with Baba was intense. At one moment, Margaret Crask, one of Mayor Baba's close ones from England, appeared before us. She had evidently just left the cabin and indicated that she had a message from Baba. She stood just to the right of the cabin, near the roadside, closer to the original kitchen. Everyone focused attention upon her, and conversation stopped as she looked toward us inquiringly. Quietness prevailed as she said, "Mayor Baba wants to see Tom Riley now." My response was instantaneous. I left Leatrice abruptly in mid-sentence and crossed the road. When I reached Margaret, all she said was, "Enter the cabin through the lake side door and don't forget to remove your shoes before going in." She then walked away toward the original kitchen. I turned toward the cabin door, and suddenly an alteration in my consciousness occurred. Unexperienced stillness consumed me. Everything I beheld reflected a sacredness. My entire being was at once elevated. At the steps of the lagoon side door, as I began removing my shoes, there occurred a transformation, a holiness which revealed itself within me. It took my breath away. It instilled within me the awakening of a reality I had never before experienced. At once, a peace descended upon me, and more than that, a sacredness. It was his presence and it took primacy over everything else. As I opened the cabin door, in a brief instant, I saw on my left a small photograph of Baba as a boy. I thought, oh, what a heavenly child. And now, directly before me, seated in an armchair, I beheld Baba himself. He was surrounded by radiating silver light. It filled the entire room. At that moment, in brief suddenness, I recalled the silver emanation of light projecting from the heads of saints and Christ himself in Renaissance and Baroque sculptures and paintings. In the room now, I beheld Baba within this brilliant effulgence. Never before had I experienced such shimmering light, such holiness. There, magically before me, Meher Baba was seated at the very center of this radiance. I was overwhelmed as he sat there facing me. I was his prime focus, his center of interest. He was beside himself with joy at seeing me. His gaze from an otherworldly dimension was transforming me as this heavenly silver light emanated from him. The entire ambience was suffused with his holiness, his presence. He was smiling, and from within this wondrous, sublime state, he extended his hand toward me. I took it in both of mine and kissed it. Opening his eyes, and with a gentle, subtle smile, he extended his open hand above and upon my head, then closed his eyes. He withdrew his hand, and I arose and made my way toward the door. Enthralled with his presence, and just before leaving, I paused and turned, gazing at him. In his divine state, holy light radiated around him, filling the room and my being. I had become one with the presence which he had bestowed upon me. I observed him smiling with his eyes closed. In the midst of such unspeakable beauty, I left the room.
Thank you,
Thank
Cathy.
you.
Wow, that is a powerful story. Beautiful section of the book. What an experience. Tom was so incredibly fortunate. Reading the book, I and some friends of mine that I've been talking with were reminded of what an artist Tom was throughout his life. And what I'd like to do now is show just a few of the paintings are at the back of the book. Very beautiful paintings. And maybe you could talk to us about these paintings. And here's the lovely cover of the book.
Meeting in a Sacred Place. That's the first painting Tom painted of Meher Baba.
Yeah, is it the cover picture?
No, I'm sorry. Meeting in a Sacred, this one here,
Yeah.
1956, His Awakening. It's his first Baba painting.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I Tom was a mariner,
Yes.
working at sea for several summers on ship cruises to earn money. And so that certainly comes through in his paintings.
Definitely.
Baba in boats, Baba or the ocean somewhere in the painting. Often
It's called Approaching the Beloved.
just beautiful.
Go back.
Tom painted this of himself. Oopsie doodle. Tom painted himself of this. This is Tom and Yvonne in the Woodstock winter, called I Am Always With You.
Mhm.
Beautiful painting. Mhm.
And this was Tom looking out his Woodstock, the first house they built in the Maverick Art Colony, looking out his north window and imagining himself following Baba up the hill. This is Tom's, feeling of Baba's blessing his children, Christina and Damien, baptizing them. It's called baptism.
Mhm.
And this is called Rescue at Sea. There we are in the foreground, and Baba's coming to help.
Wonderful.
This is called Journey with the Companion. And often you will see a treasure chest in the painting. This, Tom said, always said the treasure chest was the treasure chest of love. This is one of Tom's favorite. It's called A Voyage Beyond. And I always love to read that, since it's one of his very favorites. It's, of course, Baba off the Irish coast with the cliffs of Moher in the background. And Tom has written, his direction will awaken you and take you to his dwelling place within. I imagine Baba off the Irish coast, bringing me home. I am the last young man managing to climb aboard.
Fantastic.
This is called The Dance of Life, again in a Irish countryside landscape. I will bring you peace. This painting, actually called Away from the Past, had a very special meaning for me. My dad was Jewish and had to flee Austria. The rest of his family went to Palestine, later Israel. I was the only family member who could go to Jerusalem to be with one of my dad's brothers as he was dying. As I was in Jerusalem with my dying uncle, I kept saying, Baba, carry me, help me survive this difficult time. And when I came back, Tom had just finished painting this painting.
Wow.
So it has tremendous meaning for me.
Paintings are so beautiful and mystical as well. That vision that he has.
Mm-hmm. This one, panning for gold, of course, somehow this is chopped off the pan with the gold, but we are there. We all know that's what, as Tom said, Baba is turning us into gold, which is, of course, the theme of this painting. And this Risking Everything was bought by Cathy and Ralph Brown. They have had it in their home in, outside of Meharana, and they called it Baba Climbing El Capitan. And right after the fire, they called up and said, we lost our house and we've lost this painting.
Ooh. Wow.
So this is now only seen in reproductions.
Mm-mm-mm. Wow.
Yeah.
It looks like Yosemite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And of course, this meeting in a sacred place, which is also one of his favorites. And I often think of this when I try to imagine where Tom is now. I love what he's written about it. The essence of our being is fulfilled through meeting him in a sacred place. This comes through longing. I imagine being with Baba once again, gifted by his sacredness, once again with him, gifted by his light and love.
Beautiful. Mm-mm.
Thank you. Those are wonderful.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Another question that I wanted to ask was, were there any difficult parts of this book, book creation for you? Or anything that was hard to do or pull off?
I would say, I'd say one of the hardest parts for me was that at a certain point, I had so much handwritten material from Tom that I was feeling overwhelmed. And so I said to Tom, would you take the lagoon cabin story, or, you know, the first meeting with, take this first meeting with Baba, you know, before the East-West gathering, and could you edit it so that I could just use this one version? And to my amazement, what I got was 3 or 4 different versions that he had written over again. Sometimes 5 or 6. I mean, he just wrote, and he decided, well, he didn't quite like that, and he sort of wrote another version. So that was major, you know, taking 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of the same story and finding the best sentences in each version to amalgamate into what you are reading.
Sounds like what Phil Ludwig does in the studio.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's very good way of looking at it. Yeah.
Well, we have a special treat for everybody right now. We have a short video clip of Tom in his heyday speaking at the center and telling a funny story, and then some very, very touching stories about being in the barn with Baba. So I'm going to share that with everybody now. And let's see.
And I wanted to remind everyone that if you have any questions for Cathy, please enter those in the chat.
That's right. It starts out silent, but the sound comes on in just a moment.
But here I was now, and I knocked at the door. No, I rang the bell. And no, first a voice came down. You know, who is there? Who is ringing? And I gave my name, and what is it you wish? I've come to hear more about Meher Baba. Oh, boy, she is coming. Someone is here to hear about Baba, please. Then the thing came, and I went up. And when I got to the apartment, this was like a 4-story brownstone. It was actually an elevator, and I went up. And Ella was very excited and very happy because something had just happened that very day that was astounding. They had a beautiful little Persian cat named Frida. This wonderful cat, somehow they left the fire escape window open, and Frida went out and went down, and Frida was run over by some kind of delivery truck. And Fred was heartbroken. Ella was telling me this. Fred was heartbroken. This was only about 2 or 3 days ago, and Frida and Fred were very close. She was so lovable. And Fred went into the bedroom this morning, and to his great surprise, what did he see walking out of the closet? But Frida, like this, a beautiful Frida was heading, and she looked at Fred and smiled and said, "Don't worry, Papa. Everything is wonderful now. You don't have to worry again," and walked through the wall. And he was gone. And Fred was ecstatic. So I met Fred in his best, absolutely best mood. So I connected myself then with the New York group, and met some really wonderful people. I also married. I married in 1957, and I have to tell you that our first child was the most precious, precious little child. You know, there are children everywhere, but this one was unique. And there she is. Mhm. He was speaking in the barn every afternoon, and not speaking, but communicating. And Yvonne and I were the last two people to leave the barn. We just stayed there, and everyone else had left except Meher Baba, and I think it was just one Mongoli, because we started walking back. We were about halfway back on one of those long stretches, walking on the ocean side of the drive coming back toward the refectory, when I heard something, and I looked, and a car was coming along. And I could see that Adi Irani was driving the car, and Meher Baba was sitting in the back seat with the window open and his arm out of the car like this, and he was looking at us and smiling. And as he came by, he held out his hand like this, and I put my hand up like this, and all of a sudden he smacked my hand like this as he went by, and he was so thrilled and so happy, turned back and looked and smiled. Yeah. And there was another occasion that he asked us all to accompany him down to the beach, because one of the things he wanted us to do there was to see if we could find an appropriate, beautiful seashell that he could give these seashells to Mera as a gift from us. So everybody proceeded to look for the seashells, and I found one that just happened to fascinate me. It was full of holes and gnarled looking in such a way that it was almost like an art form. But I could see that later that that Mera may not have, thought, oh, this is the one I want. No, it had a little bit of the grotesque in it. So I brought it to Baba, and he took it and looked at it and approved of it like this. But I think he touched it on his head like this and then gave it back to me as a kind of prasad, which I still have it. And that was such a gift. But this was the last day of Baba's being here on the center. And we were all gathered together in the afternoon, in the morning, at the barn. And Baba said that he wanted Harry Canmore. Dr. Harry Canmore was a chiropractor from New York. And Harry had a very commanding, a profound manner of reciting the Master's Prayer. And Baba said, Harry will recite the Master's Prayer. Everyone will stand, including Meher Baba. And as soon as Harry has completed the prayer, half the people here will, in an orderly way, go out through those French doors, the main entrance into the barn. And then when those people have left, the next half will, in an orderly way, make their way out, like this. So Harry Should I talk like Harry? Harry stood up, Baba stood up, and everyone else. And Harry began to recite the Master's prayer. O Parvardigar, the preserver and protector of all. And this went on in this kind of tonality. And all the time, this was going on. Baba was standing there, and I want to tell you, there wasn't one part of his body that wasn't in motion. And at the same time that this motion was going on, his eyes were 100 places at once, looking at all of these 350 people. His eyes were everywhere. And then as soon as that, and I felt something so profound coming up out of my heart that I could barely breathe. I thought, something's going to happen to me. That's how powerful the experience of that love was. So when that ended, Baba sat down, and in an orderly way, the first group made its way out. I was in the second group, and I was eager to get out so that I could find an appropriate place where I could be right next to the path as Baba passed by. So I was eager to get out, but all of a sudden, here I found myself directly right in front of Meher Baba as he was sitting in the chair like this, and I was right in front of him, and it was startling to me. And he was looking with a very serious and piercing look right into my eyes like this. It was overwhelming, staggering to me like this. And after a certain point, I thought, I can't stand it. He went like this. Well, now it's my turn to get up and go. And when he did this, I quickly got around him and headed out toward the door. And as I reached the door and looked back, there was another individual right in front of him. And he was doing the same thing to that person. The person was like... But I did get to find a great spot. And then the last time, we all accompanied him to the Wilmington airport, and that was his farewell. And that's the last time I saw him until 1962.
Okay, that was wonderful. So delightful to see Tom and to hear that voice and to hear those accents. Just cannot be beat. Cathy, do you have any final comments you'd like to make, and we'll check to see if anybody has any questions as well.
I'm just, I can't, nothing is coming to my mind other than just to thank the Meher Center for permission to use those. They, usually don't share them this way. So I'm appreciating, because it is so wonderful to really see Tom and hear him and enjoy the intensity of his Irish storytelling abilities.
Yes, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask?
She gonna play a song?
Yes, Cathy, could we get you to perhaps play a song for us, or two or more?
Well, I actually have been enjoying taking African-American spirituals, which I just have loved and have collected over many years. So I would like to do a resetting of the beautiful spiritual called Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. And this is the More Light, Tom Riley's book version. Baba nudged Tom Riley to write. Tom began, he got it right. Keep your eyes, your hearts open wide. More light. more light, Baba's light. Keep your eyes on his prize, more light, more light. Tom heard of Baba at 23. In 58, Baba's light filled Tom with ecstasy. Keep your eyes on his prize, more light, more light, Baba's light. Keep your eyes, your heart open wide, more light, more light. These Tom tales, his art will go down throughout time. Please share your stories and I'll share mine. Keep your pen to paper, artworks, poetry, stories, more light, more light. Share your light. Keep your eyes on his story, more light, his love, more light. Share his light, more light, more light, more light. Keep your hearts open wide, more light, more light.
Wonderful. That's just great. Thank you. Yep. Would you like to do another one, Cathy?
Well, let's see. Okay, I have one of my faves. Setting of one of Bao's ghazals that Baba inspired. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. But you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. But you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. What a light there is in your apparent silence. Oh, words are nothing but shadows before it. What a light there is in your apparent silence. Oh, words are nothing but shadows before it. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. But you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. But you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. Oh, Saki, why is your wine shop closed? When I'm dying of thirst, do you think I can pay the price of even a drop? I have collapsed at your doorstep from a thirst that's consumed me. It is too great to be quenched even by the ocean of my tears. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. I to the light of your silence. But you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. But you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. Oh Lord, my ash from the fire of his love weeps for union. But he is stone-hearted and he won't shed his grace. Oh Mayhair, I am disgusted with this love. In your love, my every breath sighs with pain. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. I am a moth, madly attracted to the light of your silence. You've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. You've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. You've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die. Oh, you've hidden it. I cannot burn myself and die.
Oh,
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Cathy. That's fantastic. Have you been singing with the Flynn brothers lately?
No, where are the Flynn brothers?
Yeah, good question.
We need. Well, let's see. I could fly to Paris. I think Rick is over there.
Good excuse. Good excuse to go.
Harry's in Atlanta. That's a little closer.
That's right. That's right.
I have a couple of questions that have come in.
One is, did Tom have a favorite song of yours that he would request?
Oh, that's so, that's interesting. I don't know, but he would always go to my concerts and sit there and look happy and then said how wonderful and sort of drift off into Baba land. I think Cindy Lowe, when she was Cindy Dotchek, was came and lived with Tom and Yvonne when they had the antique shop in Woodstock. And, of course, he and Cindy and Yvonne, they were very close from way back. So I think he loved Cindy's music. Yeah. So I'm thinking Keep Me Near is probably one of his favorites.
Well,
I love, I think he loved all the Danny Boy, which he would sit there and get very emotional and think of he was the youngest of 6, and all his siblings had passed, and his parents and aunts and uncles, and they were a very close-knit family. So he would, he loved Irish music, of course.
Yep. That's right. Well, one question I wanted to ask also is, I know this is the anniversary of Tom's passing. So how are you doing?
Oh, golly, Wally. Woo. That's a hard one. Well, I have to say that the focus I had to muster to finish the book, the manuscript was done, but there was, from early Feb when he passed until November when it finally went to the printers, there was a lot of work that had to be done. So I think that was, in retrospect, a great gift, because I couldn't be terribly sad all the time. I had to keep working, and our group, our Tom team, as we called ourselves, we had to finish the book. So I think that, that helped. That was a great blessing. And having the book out and having everybody say how much they love the book, that's been such a gift. So I feel like a very lucky person. How many people who've lost spouses have people say wonderful things about your husband and his book?
Yep, yep.
I'm very lucky, I think, if I have to look on the brighter side.
Yeah.
That makes us all very lucky because
Mhm.
we all get to enjoy the book.
Mm,
Mm.
thank you, Baba.
Now, let's see. Scott had Scott Tower has a question. Can you tell us how you and Tom met and anything of your story with Baba? That's a wonderful question.
How Tom and I met?
How you met and then
Oh.
some of your Baba story.
Oh, golly wallies. Okay, so let's see the short version. Okay, so after Tom and Yvonne ended their marriage, there was about a year and a half or 2 years of just life going by, and I guess there must have been some karmic connection because Tom first approached Barbara Katzenberg, whose house he was building, and anyway, he didn't approach Barbara, but he was invited because Barbara and I were putting together a birthday party for myself, and by this time I was already attracted to Tom, but I thought, oh dear, what to do. But she said, invite Tom, so I invited Tom to my birthday, and he came, and he, at the end of the party, presented me with a beautiful Parvati. He's beautiful ancient votive Parvati bronze Indian statue that he had gotten in 62. And I thought, how many potential suitors would give you an ancient bronze Parvati? So that really was the beginning of it all. Maybe I'll go and find the Parvati. Should I show it to you?
Well,
Anyway, okay, then after that, he approached Bob and Jane Brown and said, how could we work something that we could all be together, and I would be there and Cathy would be there, and it would look very what's the word? Undate-like, I guess.
Nonchalant.
Nonchalant. So Bob and Jane invited me to the Blue Crab Festival in Little River, and there was Tom, who steered me amongst all the terrible paintings of seagulls on sand dunes that all look the same. And anyway, we started talking, and so that worked, and then we started going out, and then we fell in love. And I guess about a year and a half, 2 years later, we tied the knot.
wonderful, a very sweet story.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you, how did you find out about Baba?
Oh, okay. So my best friend, Annie Weld Bell, whom I met at Brandeis University, where we both were at college, had heard about Baba from her sister, Catherine, and Catherine's husband, Goodwin Harding. And at the wedding of Annie's sister, Catherine, and brother-in-law, Goody, a series of very dramatic experiences occurred at which Annie and I, at the same instant, knew that Baba was our master, which is a wonderful longer story that's in the Mayor Baba's Next Wave, Carolyn Ball's book. So then we hitchhiked to the center in 72, and Elizabeth Patterson sat us down and said, now I want you to promise me Mayor Baba has enough trouble running the universe without trying to help two irresponsible young women out on the highway risking life and limb. I want you to promise never to hitchhike again. So that was kind of the beginning of being reined in and starting a new life. But Annie Bell was my Baba connection.
Oh, great
That's
story.
great. Yeah. Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, Cathy, where can someone buy a copy of More Light?
Yeah, so I'm selling them here, and Sherry are the main places, and I haven't yet put it on Amazon, but I plan to do so. And I decided, because there is so many people loving the book, that I may even apply for some book awards, and maybe Baba's name will get sliding out into the wider circles beyond the Mayor Baba community.
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, anybody have any other questions that they would like to ask?
I just have a comment, which I'd like to
Mhm.
throw in. I
Yeah.
think it's one of the best books I've ever read. Of course, it's hard to separate myself from having known Tom for so long and loving to spend hours listening to him talk. But I think it's well worthy of awards, and who knows what's going to happen. Just wanted to say that. Thanks so much, Cathy.
yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
and
Our
Since-
dear Tom.
yeah. So Elaine, since you were part of our MAC, discovery of those Fred Ella Winterfeld letters, I just thank you, and thanks to MAC. And I really do,
Yeah.
without sounding over dramatic, I'd love to say, please, everybody who's listening today, go over your lunch, start writing a story. There's so many wonderful stories that haven't been written out there. And, I know, Irma, you've been doing some of that, and, other people have been working on collections, but there's many more fabulous stories that need to come to light.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just emphasize again how important the MAC archive has been in this process in one particular way for you. You mentioned this story already, but the MAC had some letters between Fred Winterfeld and Tom. So these archives also are just so important to the Baba community. So our thanks go to everybody involved with MAC for doing all this wonderful work.
Yes, really. Yeah.
Well, those of us that are doing it, we think it's our privilege.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Well, thank you again very much, Cathy. It's just been fantastic.
Thank
And,
you. everybody.
I'll that kind of wraps it up, but I'm gonna finish with one last picture of Tom here.
Baba Ki Jai.
Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Mayor Baba Ki Jai.
Love to everybody.